Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Blackwell. I just wanted to do a quick check-in with everybody this week, um, and kind of report back some things that I found to be interesting or some common themes yesterday. We didn't have class yesterday, but several of you did take up the opportunity to meet with me either in person or online or on the phone regarding your trilogy project. And I appreciate the time that you took out of your day to do that, because we want to give you some good feedback. You will be getting some feedback from me this week regarding the needs assessments 1 and 2. But what I thought I would report on is just some common things that came up yesterday to kind of uh, bring everybody kind of up to speed on this. Um, So what I did discover is that many of you have met with some of your stakeholders, but some of you are still in that process of not. And I think one of the questions that came up yesterday was, where should we be along in this process? And that's really kind of it's a little difficult to answer just because, as I had said from the beginning of the semester, what I think that we're finding out right now is that their time schedule is not the same as ours. And I know that we have deadlines, but I think you're finding out very quickly that sometimes it's hard to get people to maybe return a phone call or an email, or you're just having trouble setting up a time to meet. What I would encourage you just to keep working on that process, and really, when you can get it done is pretty much when you can get it done. And what I mean by that is that this is going to be something that you will just want to make sure that you follow through with. So, for example, um, if someone was going to give you a call back or an email back and it's been 2 or 3 days past that particular time, I wouldn't continue to wait for them to do that. I would go ahead and make that process happen myself. Reach out to them again, making sure that people are understanding where you're coming from and what you're looking to do, because I still think that there's some people don't really know about our trilogy project. Some of them are not aware of what you all can offer, and so that might be kind of helpful there. Um, Issues having folks contact them back. If you are not, there's 1 or 2 of you that still have not decided on a partnership. My concern is that we are about halfway through the fall semester. You're going to be running into some time constraints, and so if it doesn't work out here very soon, um, as they say, stop beating a dead horse. It may be time to kind of look for another type of partnership that may get you. Maybe it's not the particular topic that you're dying to do and work for, but for purposes of the class, we have to be able to have a grade to give you to be able to assess what you're working with. Um, I'll be giving you some feedback on some of the questions that you have submitted along with this, but I want to make sure that you all are pulling questions that are going to be answering some very important things with your stakeholders. And so we are looking for questions that relate to social assessment. We are looking for quality of life issues. And of course, you can look at the pre-seed model that would kind of help you phase 1 and phase 2, because you should be looking at things that are relating to the epidemiological assessment, some of the top health issues, and behavioral environmental determinants of a health problem, educational and ecological assessment. So when you're thinking about your questions, make sure that you're pulling some of your questions from this. I've not done an in-depth scan of what I'm looking at, but you want to make sure that you're addressing these, because as these particular questions are being asked, it's giving you that information so that you know how to further proceed. This will make a lot more sense at the beginning of next semester when you are actually working with the feedback that you got back from your needs assessment. And as a reminder too, many of you are thinking ahead, and this is wonderful because you're trying to see the end product, and I encourage that. However, for purposes of this particular class for 5110, all that you really should be thinking about at this point is the needs assessment. The rest of it will take care of itself next semester and the semester beyond. So don't get so bound up in the fact that you're still not quite sure what your intervention is going to be. Well, this is just a reminder. You are meeting with stakeholders to learn from them. You are meeting with stakeholders to find out more about your target population of interest. And then you're going to be talking or interviewing or surveying your target population, whoever that is. And again, you're going to be listening. You're going to listen and hear from them what they think are the big issues, what they think are the greatest needs in their community. And I would also encourage you too, yes, we're doing a needs assessment, but you should also be looking at and asking questions about asset mapping. So, what is going good in your community, what is not going so good, and what would you like to see? What are some of those things that you would like to see differently? I would like you to think about at this point how you're going to recruit folks into whatever you're going to do, and so you would want to just lay that out in a very succinct way. Let's see, what else? For purposes of this class, and I cannot stress this, I've talked about this several different times and given feedback, we are only using APA formatting for this class. We're not using any other type of formatting. So for those of you who are still resistant, resistance is futile. So take a look at APA. If you're not familiar with it, there's lots of online places that you can go to take a look at that, because I am going to be counting off for using other types. That is just not the way that we're going to work that here in class. Thinking, of course, with this needs assessment 1 and 2, and then of course you've got 3 and 4 coming up. For 1 and 2, 3 and 4, remember that this is going to be in the form of a technical report, so this is professional as for what we're doing. And so I would encourage you to take every opportunity for every assignment that you are turning in. It needs to look good. You're master's level students, and so there is that expectation there. I am seeing a lot of places where you are talking in first person, and honestly that should be in third person because that's how a technical report would work there. I am also looking at the aspect for your questions that you're asking to your stakeholders, and then of course you'll think about how you're going to do your interviews and your guides for your priority population. Make sure that you have a mix of qualitative and quantitative questions. We would like you to work with both of those. And for some of you, qualitative questions, just a reminder, we're looking for open-ended questions so that they're answering something other than yes or no. There's nothing wrong with doing some quantitative. You could do some scales. You can have some semi-structured questions that way as well too, but make sure you're including a mix of those. And I would like to see more secondary data from everybody on their background. I think it's very hard for you to want to work with a population if you don't have national level data or state data, or even in some cases county level data. So you should be doing that. And just so that we're clear too, what you turn in should have citations. I'm seeing that from some of you, but not from all of you. And so help us with that. So as a recap really quick, so continue to make strides in meeting with your stakeholders. Decide how you're going to take down information, whether you're going to be writing that information or if you are going to ask them for permission to record. Realizing time-sensitive issues, their scheduling is not like ours. If people don't contact you back, it's up to you to follow through with that. Of course, be professional about that. And also make sure that your questions are addressing phases 1, 2, 2A, 2B, all of those things that you can see from your pre-seed, proceed model. And if you go back to the slides throughout the semester, we have said at several points, adapt and use these questions for your own. We really mean that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel in order to do that. So use that where it's appropriate. Also, if you are sending out emails or letters that are introducing yourself, there's also examples out there. I would encourage you to use that as well too, so that people can have confidence in who you are and what you're sharing. And I think that you should probably be using your ETSU email account, because that's coming from they understand where that's coming from, so that gives you more street credibility or academic credibility, if that makes any sense. Think about how you're going to recruit. Make sure you're doing APA formatting and citation with everything that you're turning in. Your citation page, your reference page, does not count in your page numbers. Making sure that you are writing in a professional manner, as in a professional report, using third. Don't use first. Don't use I, use the researcher or the student researcher or participants, these kinds of things. Make sure you have a mix of qualitative and quantitative questionings, but again, go back to these different types of rationale where we are looking, and we really are kind of breaking this down for you, so use this. I hope to get this information back to you this week. And of course, your appendix. And I would like to see a lot more secondary data. I don't think some of you have convincingly made your case for your target population. Now, one other thing that I'll address very quickly, and this has come up a couple of times, and I'm happy to do this. Let's see here. So your needs assessment 1 and 2 were due on the 7th, and it looks like your third one is going to be due on the 28th. I tell you what, let's do this. The 28th is next Monday. I think I'm going to push that assignment back 1 week, and so therefore I will push back the needs assessment 4 back 1 week as well too. I think that would probably be helpful and give you all a little bit more time to do what you're doing. And lastly, one of the things that has been brought up a couple of times is that when you're looking at needs assessment 3 and needs assessment 4, there has been the question out there, well, why are you asking for the same questions? Are we just duplicating this? Needs assessment 3, if you take a look here, we're looking for qualitative needs assessment focusing on behaviors, environment, on educational, ecological levels. We want to, you can use the examples on the PowerPoint, but assessment 3 is for your qualitative questioning. And then when we go back to when you think and you start looking at needs assessment 4, here we are asking you to consider your quantitative needs assessment. So I hope that helps and that makes some sense for folks. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I know that it's a bit frustrating. We're trying to make this process as smooth as possible, although I know there's some hiccups. And then lastly, the only thing that I'll say is that for those of you who are around on campus this upcoming Thursday, I think it would be a nice gesture if you have the ability to kind of check in. The first-year MPH students from last year, they do want to meet you. They would like to be able to kind of chat with you, introduce themselves, give you some tips of what they found to be very helpful for the Trilogy project, because again, they are exactly where you were this time last year, but now they're at the point where they're finishing up their Trilogy projects. And so if you're out and about, Thursday, October 24th, 5 p.m. here in Lamb Hall, room 134. It's very casual. Come out, meet and greet. There's going to be some food. And I just think it would be a nice way for you all to kind of get even more settled into what you're doing for your first semester. If you have questions, please look me up. I'm here. I will talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.